Go on.
Okay. Good morning. So my name's Tim Fairbrother. I'm responsible for the rules for the Railway Challenge. I'm just going to go through some of the each of the challenges that you'll be undertaking and give you a summary of how they will be how they'll work on the Railway Challenge weekend. So for the track-based challenges, there are principally 6 challenges plus at least 1 optional challenge which you'll undertake. I'll go through those in the order that they're presented in the rules, which is also the order that you'll undertake them as you go round the track. During the competition weekend, you'll get 3 runs, on the Friday, the Saturday and the Sunday. So the Friday is for the scrutineering run, which is to validate various core functionalities of your locomotive. That'll be explained in the scrutineering section. The Saturday is your trial run, where you can validate your ability to compete in each of the track-based challenges. And then on the Sunday, that's the competition run, where you'll have judges that are assessing your performance in each of the track-based challenges. So the first challenge that we encounter on the run round the railway is the auto stop challenge. This is where you're required to approach a point, and then at that point the locomotive detects a line side beacon or something that you've installed at the line side, and then automatically, without any control by the driver, automatically applies the brakes and then comes to a stand as close to a point 25 meters after that point that the braking is initiated, and then it's measured based on how close you stop to that point 25 meters after. So the second challenge, which starts shortly after the auto stop challenge, is the ride comfort challenge. Here we fit an accelerometer, a triaxial accelerometer, to your locomotive at your nominated point, and then use that to measure the ride comfort or the vibration of your locomotive as it goes round the loop of the track, and you've got 6 minutes to go round that loop maximum. The reason we enforce that is so that you can't go round slower, in which case the vibration or the ride comfort may be better. So we have a maximum time to go round, and then obviously we take the meter off that's measuring the ride comfort, and then assess what your ride comfort is in accordance with the rules. The next challenge is the energy storage challenge, where you're required to accelerate and then apply a brake, which then that's a dynamic brake, which is then recovering energy through braking, and then that energy that is recovered through braking is stored and is then used to then propel the train for however far you can propel it, and then we measure the distance that you then move with that stored energy from braking. That's quite a hard challenge. It's not uncommon to see teams not move anywhere on what may be stored energy but is unusable or perhaps hasn't been stored. But yeah, it's always a great challenge to watch and to see, and it's really great when we do see teams successfully achieve some distance after that. On the return back up towards the station is the fourth of the track-based challenges on the loop, which is the traction challenge, and in that we measure from you go from a standing start up a gradient, and we measure how quickly you can cover a set distance, and then the time it takes you to go over that set distance is used to determine your score relative to the other teams. It's probably worth pointing out that all of the challenges are done on a relative basis, so you score points relative to your performance, to the performance of other teams. So for some, depending on the challenge, it's a better or a lower time, for example, for doing something quickly. For other challenges, such as the energy storage, then it's the greater distance which scores better. Alongside the 4 challenges as you go around the loop, there are 2 other challenges which take place separately. So the reliability challenge takes place across the whole weekend, across your 3 runs and other activities. For that challenge, you start with a score of 200 points, and then you're penalised by points according to the rules for failure to deliver to operate reliably. For instance, that can be missing an allocated slot in the programme on the weekend. So if you're late or you're unable to start on time, whether that's due to a technical issue or your team not being ready, then you'll be penalised. And then if you're out on a run, if you're delayed due to a mechanical issue or some other issue on your locomotive, and you therefore don't get back within the allocated time, you'll be penalised in the reliability challenge. Or equally, if you require external assistance to recover your locomotive, then you'll be challenged, and all the penalties as part of the reliability challenge are defined in the rules. The 6th of the core track-based challenges is the maintainability challenge. This requires you to safely remove a powered wheel set from your locomotive and then refit it. And that activity is timed in phases, so between each phase the judges will make sure that you're undertaking the challenge safely, and obviously the quicker time scores better in that challenge. That challenge is not done as part of the run round the loop. It's done separately, normally on the Saturday of the weekend, here in the station area. New for this year are a series of 4 optional challenges. So over the past couple of months, you will have been proposing your preference for those optional challenges, and you should have now received confirmation of which optional challenge you'll be participating in. For most teams, that will be their first preference. Of those 4 optional challenges, there is the opportunity to participate in more than that one that you've had confirmed, and if you participate in more than one, then you will score points, but only the maximum points from the optional challenges that you participate in. The one with the best score will be taken forward to your overall score. So you will score you'll score for each of those that you successfully participate in, but it will only be the maximum score that is from those which is taken forward into your overall score. But obviously, if you take part in more than one, it gives you a better chance of achieving a better score for your optional challenge. So just running through the 4 optional challenges, there's the auto coupler challenge, similar to maintainability. That will take place somewhere in the station area. This requires you to provide an auto coupler facility on your locomotive, and perhaps a mating interface on the vehicle that you're going to couple to, and then you will drive and approach the vehicle that you're going to couple to. The auto coupler, as it says, should auto couple, so require no manual involvement to actually couple it. It should do it all automatically, and then once it's auto coupled and the driver has received indication that the auto coupler is coupled, then you'll be required to haul that vehicle for 10 meters and then propel it back the 10 meters and then uncouple and then withdraw the locomotive for I think it's 5 meters, and the whole of that sequence in 4 separate phases is timed to give you your time, which is then converted into a score relative to the other team competing in that challenge. The aerodynamic challenge is the second optional challenge. That is principally a desk-based challenge which you'll submit prior to the weekend. So you're required to determine what the aerodynamic drag on your locomotive is, and you can do that by either a wind tunnel, using either your actual loco, if you can find a wind tunnel that's big enough, or perhaps build a scale model of it that you can fit into a smaller wind tunnel, or use CFD or some other computational analysis of a model to determine what the drag is on your locomotive. And then the judges will assess whether the model that you have used is, or that the process that you've used is suitably representative, and then determine from that whether to adjust the drag that you have determined for your loco, and then the drags are then compared between the teams competing in that challenge to determine your score. Those first two optional challenges have more of a mechanical bias. The other two, which I'll describe now, have more of a controlled or an electronic bias. So the first of those is the location announcement challenge, where there are a series of points around the loop where you're required to provide an auto announcement, which should be a audible announcement but also a visual indication on the display that your locomotive has reached those points. There are two types of points as you go around. Some of those are when your locomotive comes to a stop at particular locations, so coincident with the locomotive stopping, then the announcement should be played and seen. And then some of them are what are called passing announcements, so when the locomotive moves past a point, then again the announcement should be played and shown. So the compliance of your locomotive to successfully give those announcements will be assessed by the judges. The fourth optional challenge is the remote data recording and monitoring challenge. This requires your locomotive to record various data signals that are defined in the requirements, and then report those remotely to a laptop or another device that will be somewhere here in the station area, so that you're providing live monitoring of data signals on your locomotive. And during the competition run on the Sunday, then we'll also for teams competing in that challenge, hopefully connect that up to a projector and display so that an audience can see the monitoring that you're showing on screen. So the judges will then assess the reliability of that data and how successfully you're monitoring and reporting, and that it's consistently reported throughout the run round the loop. So those are the four optional challenges. Like I said, you will have had one of those confirmed, but you have the option of competing in any of the other three beyond the one which has been confirmed to you, and you can score in each of those, but only your best score will be taken forward to your overall score. That's all of the track-based challenges. I'll briefly go through the presentation challenges as well. So the first of those is the design challenge. The requirement for this is to submit a design report, which you'll do in advance of the challenge weekend, and then the judges, or a selection of the judges, will review that design report against the marking criteria. The second presentation challenge is only for entry-level competition teams. This is the CAD challenge. So this is to develop a CAD model of your locomotive. So entry-level teams are those which are not building a locomotive to bring along to the competition weekend, but so there is a requirement for them to develop a CAD model, and they enter the CAD challenge, and the judges will assess the CAD model which is submitted, again in advance of the challenge weekend. The third presentation challenge is the business case challenge, where teams are required to pitch to an audience of judges on why they should buy your locomotive. So the scenario is that you're trying to sell a number of your locomotives to the judges, and you have to make the business case as to why they should buy your locomotive or your set of locomotives. So the key thing that's different this year is that will all be done via video conferencing in advance of the challenge weekend, but then the three teams that have the best score from that video presentation to a live set of judges in advance of the weekend will then be asked to present again during the challenge weekend as a kind of finals to the business case challenge, and then they'll be reassessed to a panel of judges, but there will also be a live audience of spectators from who are here present on the challenge weekend. and then the combined score for those top 3 teams will be considered to determine who is the overall winner of that challenge. The 4th presentation challenge is the Locomotive Aesthetic and Technical Poster Challenge. This is also changed slightly from this year for 2024. So the technical poster element of the challenge has not fundamentally changed. So you're required to provide a poster which details the technical aspects of your locomotive, and then that is assessed by a selection of judges. But in addition, the aesthetic design of your locomotive will also be assessed in line with the rules by the judges, and the most aesthetic locomotive will score better points as a proportion of that challenge. The final presentation challenge is the Innovation Challenge. This requires teams, again in advance of the competition weekend, to submit an innovation paper, a bit like a journal or an academic paper, detailing some innovation in their locomotive design. And this may be something that's been prescribed for you by your company or your academic institution. It may be something that you've developed yourself as your team, but you need to describe it and write a paper for that. And the requirement to score in that is that it has to be an innovation that has been actually implemented on your locomotive. Whether it's successful or not in working, you do require some implementation of that. So you can't propose and write about an innovation which you haven't actually implemented on your locomotive. So that's a summary of all of the challenges. We can look at the track-based challenges when we go around the railway and see exactly where they'll take place. The final thing to mention is the scores. So all the challenges are worth 150 points, except the following. So the auto stop challenge and the energy storage challenge are each worth 300 points. So they're effectively count double because those are seen by the committee as being the most challenging to successfully deliver. So you score 300 points for each of those. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the reliability challenge is worth 200 points to start with, and then for any failure to operate reliably, you're penalised. So points are deducted from that 200 points down to a minimum of 0. So you can't go into negative points on that, but it's down to a minimum of 0. But all of the other challenges are worth 150 points. So that hopefully gives a useful summary of the rules and the challenges. If you've got any questions, then we can cover those later. And like I said, we can cover certain aspects of the track-based challenges as we go around the railway later on. Thank you.